Allman.
What famous St. Louis news anchor did I meet when she worked as a Playboy bunny? And we'll relive the famous Ricky Prohl catch this week in 2000. Plus, Uma Thurman's feat, Natalie Portman at age 15, and a St. Louis Blues player's wife who couldn't wait for her husband to leave on a road trip. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday mornings, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on newstalkstl.com.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Thursday to all of you and yours. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch. It's the Allman Report. Jamie Allman here, Ashton over there, and you know, I just was thinking. I'm coming a little late to the game, to tell you the truth, because I really hadn't thought much about this and the death of Bob Weir. And well, there's something you might not know about me that I just wanted to divulge to you because it's going to be Grateful Dead Day here at the Allman Report. And I'm not a deadhead, but I was one by association. So, my best friend in high school, Dave, was a deadhead. And so, I traveled around the country with him to see the Grateful Dead. And because I was going to school in Madison, Wisconsin College, we would mostly go, like, for instance, we saw him in St. Louis, obviously, Chicago, but I saw them at least 3 times, maybe 4, at a place called Alpine Valley, which is a great little kind of amphitheater in Wisconsin, and that's where we would have, you'd have they'd allow you to record the concerts and all that kind of stuff. So all these bootleg Deadhead, Grateful Dead tapes are out there. And you don't really realize how really great of a band they are. To tell you the truth, as much as I saw them in concert, I never listened to them. I just don't. But I think Bob Weir was a cool guy. It was such an unusual little setup there with Jerry Garcia and Bob Weir in his Izod polo shirts. It was so strange, but it was a ton of fun, though. Alpine Valley was also where Stevie Ray Vaughan played his last concert because they helicoptered out of there and crashed. So that's probably where you might have heard of Alpine Valley. All right, so do you guys notice what is happening in Minnesota? Well, let's put it this way. Do you notice what is not happening in Minnesota? There is no longer a focus on Somali fraud. Have you picked up on that? And, of course, that is all purposeful because the more they investigate the Somali fraud, the more likely it is that Jacob Fry, Ilhan Omar, and Tim Walz will go to jail. And that the entirety of the Democrat Party will begin its tumble into obscurity and shame. And so you realize what's at stake, and that explains why, at this juncture, Tim Walz and Jacob Fry and their flying monkeys on the streets are all causing so much trouble that they are actually trying to force President Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act, which he maybe should or shouldn't do, whatever, but we need to be careful about playing into the hands of these individuals who really actually want a kind of mini civil war in Minnesota, because that will take the attention away. That will divert the attention away from the Somali fraud, which is really ultimately going to be the undoing of the Democrat Party. It will begin in Minnesota. So that is why you're seeing the Democrat Party and you are seeing the news media and you are seeing all these individuals actually trying to create a scenario where President Trump will have to basically invoke the Insurrection Act. This is what the Democrats want. They want this. And so they're causing it. How else could you possibly be Jacob Fry and be able to say this with a straight face?
Imagine if that city or that town was suddenly invaded by thousands of federal agents.
Oh, I thought he was going to say thousands of Somalis, but no. Or illegal aliens, but no. It's federal agents
that do not share the values that you hold dear. Imagine if your daily routines were disrupted. The local cafe that you eat at was shut down because they're scared that their own family might get torn apart. Imagine if schools shut down and suddenly parents got to figure out what to do for daycare.
Yeah, that's why they shut the schools down, too. So basically what you have is a situation where the Democrats, and Tim Walz as well, actively trying to create a scenario that forces the invocation of the Insurrection Act.
Agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery stores, at bus stops, even at our schools, they're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans.
Yeah, that sounds like a guy who knows his ass is going to go to prison pretty soon over the fraud. So if I didn't know any better, let's take it even further. And if you look at even this is an appearance by Jacob Fry on on Fox News.
You're seeing it in real time. You are aware that 18 U.S. Code 111 makes it a federal crime to impede, interfere, or even assault officers. And we see the protesters crossing a line of protesting, throwing rocks, hitting cars, and interfering in the federal government's view of their operation of carrying out federal immigration law enforcement.
We have had perhaps tens of thousands of people peacefully protesting in the streets. And at the same time, yeah, they are going to stand up for their neighbors.
So you have basically Tim Walz and Jacob Fry. They are the commanders of the Blue State Confederacy there in Minnesota. Now, there are a few choices that President Trump has, as do the ICE agents. Unfortunately, we're in a situation where we've even got people now who are busting into cars and taking rifles from the cars, from the ICE cars.
Oh, wow.
Stealing bullets, ammunition, and in one case, a rifle. And so there are choices to be made here, but something is going to have to happen. Something will have to happen. So there are a few choices. And let me go back to this good character who was shot in her car. If you break it down and look at it more closely, you'll realize that there's a really good chance that she was put up to this, that her butch, crazy wife was behind setting her up, and that they needed to have some kind of casualty. And now I'm thinking, when her butch millionaire wife said, drive, 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 she was trying to get her to do something that would create chaos, maybe even get her murdered, in her eyes, right? So that they could call it a murder and make it a big deal. And, you know, I'm not a really big conspiracy theorist on this level, but if you start picking away at it and looking at it, everything that's happening in Minneapolis right now is purposeful and solely designed to take attention away from the fraud that, once the investigation begins, will dismantle the Minnesota Democrat Party and will spread to the rest of the Democrat Party. In other words, this is another acorn investigation that currently is being diverted by the individuals who are in this situation where they are no longer paying attention to the fraud. And so there are choices to be made. And yeah, you've got some clowns on here who are trying to compare the death of Good to the Boston massacre, which these guys are so full of crap because they know what's at stake. And these are all bots. These aren't real people. They're all bots that are spread out. And this is what happens when we start talking about this and they start to realize that we are on to them. They start to panic. But really what they are a bunch of faceless robots, and they're punks and they're cowards, and ultimately they will get theirs. And so this is the face-off we have. So we have there are several choices that can be made in this situation, and much like Lincoln did in imposing the Insurrection Act, basically to jail these people who were causing strife and who were the Confederate terrorists. Because keep in mind, as I said before, Democrats have not changed since they were slave owners, since they fought to defend slavery. Democrats have not changed since the 1860s. So they've just only moved on from defending slavery to defending murderers, rapists, illegal aliens, and fraudsters who actually are all registered to vote Democrat. So they haven't changed. The Democrat Party has not changed. And so it's the same party that Lincoln had to put a noose around their necks in order to get them to behave. And then ultimately, by 1865, the Democrats got the message. And quite possibly are going to have to get it again. So it just depends on how they want to operate this. Are we going to go ahead and allow in a situation, or we go ahead and just keep this going and stay with the fraud investigation? And if you got to shoot a couple more people, for instance, who are taking your guns out of your cars and things like that, then that's going to have to happen. But there aren't enough of them. There are not enough of them. And much like it was with the Confederacy, there were not enough of them. And they got their asses handed to them in battle after battle after battle. And ultimately what happened is Grant, Sherman, we went to Georgia and burned their crap all to the ground. The march to Savannah, everything else. We burned Atlanta, and we can burn Minneapolis too if we have to. So that's how this is going to play out. So it kind of depends on how things go. But what's happening in Minneapolis right now is dire. But if I'm President Trump, I'm waiting in terms of this Insurrection Act and that kind of thing to see how things play out. Right now we have the Minneapolis police that are basically standing down. They're not doing anything to stop people from breaking into cars and that kind of thing. And then once, if the left, so far they haven't done it, but once they kill somebody, it's on. Once the left kills somebody, it's on. And that's going to happen. And they know that, which is why they're being very careful. Because what's happening now is that Jacob Fry and Tim Walz have so far been able to direct and divert attention by encouraging violence and encouraging people going on the streets and everything else. But this is exactly what's happening. And I told you, though, Monday about the symmetry, and it's undeniable. And then you've got people like the person the bot who popped up on Facebook trying to compare this to the Boston Massacre and the American Revolution. I got news for you. You guys on the left and the Democrat Party, you are the British Crown, not us. You're the people who purport to be kings, not us. You're the people who are above the rule of law, not us. And so the Crispus Attucks moment hasn't come yet because you haven't killed anybody in Minneapolis from ICE or the government. But when you do, that will be the time that it will be on for you. So that will be the moment that you will live to regret, because you're not the revolutionaries. We are. You're not the Minutemen. We are. And so you just pretending to be the Minutemen like you're defending your rights, instead of really the reality is you're defending rapists, murderers, sex traffickers, fraudsters, and awful people who are illegal aliens and who are illegally here. Why you're doing that is beyond the realm of comprehension. There's no explanation for it. Most people out there in the normal wild of the country don't agree with you, and there's just enough of you, kind of like a little nest of you that'll be easily taken care of once we have to do it. So there aren't enough of you. So you can do whatever you want, but whatever you're fantasizing about of somehow waging some kind of revolution, whatever, it'll take about 24 hours to put that down. We are the revolutionaries. We are the Minutemen. We are the ones who are the hippies, not you. You're the J. Edgar Hoover fascist pigs. So that's just... And you hear that there's somebody out there who believes that President Trump really isn't building a ballroom. There's something else going on. And I think actually she makes a compelling argument, to tell you the truth. And actually, if she's right, it's kind of cool, you know? So I don't know. She's got this theory, and it's a pretty darn good one. So I'll bring that to you. Dr. Fauci also has been revealed to have known that thing called natural immunity was actually really a true thing, and yet he still pushed the vaccine. Plus, I'm trying to drag Mark Kasen in here for a little bit of a debate, a real one. So we'll follow up on that as well. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Grasser Electric, and I just love Grasser Electric. I love Shane. I've known him for going on more than 20 years now. And Shane is a really cool guy. He's, if you go into his office, because he's a big hunter, he's conservationist. He's just a great guy, lives the dream. You go into his office, and you see all kinds of animals. And I always say it's like going to the zoo, except everything is dead. And so there's some really cool animals that he's taken out. And he's lived that life, raised some kids. One of them is now running the show over there at Grasser. And so you're going to get the same family tradition, the same low prices, the same dedicated electricians like Sean, who's my guy, who's coming to the house this week. So these are the kind of people that you want in your home, first of all, and also they get the job done, are able to identify places, problems right away. So they're not sitting there camping out. These guys have a lot of work to do, and so they'll go from here to there to here to there, and they'll get the job done and get it done and be out of your hair, and you will be happy. No job is too big or too small. They will also do some really great stuff for you if you are seeking some help as it relates to some commercial venture you have, or maybe you are adding on or doing something of that nature. Whatever it happens to be, Grasser Electric is there. And on top of that, if you are a fledgling electrician, ladies and gentlemen, Grasser is hiring. They'll take you under their wing. So make sure you consider that. If you know anybody who wants a career in being an electrician, they have it for you. Don't forget about the backup generators. Also, the backup generator is a great thing for you, especially if we get into a wily winter. You're gonna love that. Or if we have a spring like we had last time with all the storms and things like that, Grasser Electric has an easily installed and really price-performing backup generator for you. GrasserElectric.com. That's GrasserElectric.com.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Jim Talent, former U.S. Senator. Did Pete Hegseth commit a war crime, in your opinion?
No. My only concern is that we're not getting enough drug boats. It's the first effective thing I can remember we've done to strike at these cartels, not only to take out particular shipments of drugs, but to deter others. And I'm not going to cry crocodile tears for any of them.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Do you know why I endorse Cafe Napoli, all the locations? Visit any of them, and you will quickly appreciate the quality of food, service, atmosphere. So maybe I'll see you at Cafe Napoli in Clayton. Napoli Kirkwood, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. Or maybe you'll find me at Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Now you know why I endorse Napoli, NapoliSTL.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
The U.S. Supreme Court, our nation's highest court, had to spend time on the birds and the bees. You don't know what that is? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Call your parents. Somewhere along the line, they did not teach you. Anyway, the case involved the law meant to protect women in sports from having to play against men. That is, men posing as girls. Justice Alito asked the attorney, can schools have separate teams, one just for girls, the other just for boys? The attorney had to admit, yes, Your Honor. So what's the difference between boys and girls? I'm sure she took a look at Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Remember in her confirmation hearing, Justice Jackson could not answer such a similar question. Well, the attorney got no help from Justice Brown. Probably she was doodling a picture of a cat or something. But the attorney was still being questioned, and she still didn't have an answer. Frustrated, weakly she said, boys can play sports, and so can girls. But she didn't say which team.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL. Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Thursday to all of you and yours. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. The 3 Martini Lunch and Common Sense Radio. Jamie Allman here and Ashton over there. And just really quickly, before we get to young Caroline, because she is she's going to be doing her she's doing her little briefing right now, and I want to get to that. But just keep in mind, one of the great examples of what I'm talking about in terms of really how this is really just designed solely to protect Tim Walz, Jacob Fry, and Ilhan Omar is that it's not happening anywhere else. Like, you remember during there's been some things in I guess in New York City or whatever, but you'll notice this is isolated to Minnesota, and that should tell you something about how the left trying to turn this into a George Floyd thing isn't working. It's not happening, because otherwise it would be in all the other cities, and it's not. It's isolated to Minnesota because Commander Fry and General Walz are trying just simply to order their troops to attack ICE and light fires and things like that, solely to take the attention away from their impending indictments for fraud and the investigation, things like that. But you'll notice nothing is happening anywhere else in the country. Not even in Portland, for crying out loud. They don't even care about that chick in Portland. But still, it's all isolated to Minneapolis. It's all isolated to Minneapolis, too. No other place in Minnesota is seeing this kind of stuff. So that tells you everything you need to know about really what this is all about. And it's absolutely not about ICE. It's about protecting these guys and diverting attention away from the fraud. Let's go up to Washington, D.C. and young Caroline. What are you doing, girl?
Actually talk about these individuals. This is all ICE is trying to do. They are trying to remove people like this from Governor Walz's state. And so, yes, he should pick up the phone, and he should say that he will cooperate with this president and with the federal government in making Minnesota safer, because that's all President Trump and his administration want to do.
There's a baby in there.
The president says he wants money to go directly to Americans so they can buy their own insurance. How exactly would this work? And can the president assure Americans that this will be enough to cover their health care costs?
So this is the second principle in the president's health care plan, lowering insurance premiums specifically and ensuring that that money is going directly back to the American people and cutting the kickbacks that then raise those premiums. So this plan, once put into legislative text and passed by Congress and sent to the president's desk, will stop sending big insurance companies billions of an extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice through, you may have heard it be referred to as health savings accounts. Whether that ends up being the actual name of such accounts, we'll have to see. Again, Congress and the White House are going to work together to put this plan into action. And then secondly, the Great Health Care Plan will fund a cost-sharing reduction program for health care plans, which will save taxpayers at least $36 billion and reduce the most common Obamacare plan premiums by over 10%, and that's according to the Congressional Budget Office.
So that's actually pretty cool, because you're thinking, well, this sounds boring. But to tell you the truth, the things that matter most to the American people are things like this. And yeah, there's a lot of strife in Minneapolis. There's a lot going on with ICE and everything else. But the fact that we're in the middle of a briefing and it's actually just kind of beginning, the fact that we're in that briefing and one of the questions is about health care is a vast improvement over what we've had to deal with before, which is a bunch of screeching, yelling people obsessed with one particular topic or one particular thing. So this is really kind of an advancement, to tell you the truth, in press room history, because we're actually getting people talking about things that matter to Americans. Because I guarantee you most Americans are more concerned about health care costs than they are about what's your nuts up there in Minneapolis. And so that's really what this is all about. Let's see what this guy's saying.
Don't do that. What's his... What'll he do? What's the threat?
Well, tariffs? No, I'm just kidding. The president certainly has an expectation, Josh, that the credit card companies will do this, just as he did with the pharmaceutical companies, that they will lower costs for American consumers. I don't have a specific consequence to outline for you, but certainly this is an expectation and, frankly, a demand that the president has made.
Can you give us an update on the Fed? Sorry. There was some reporting from, I think, Fox Business that Rick Reeder had an interview this week scheduled. The president's indicated he's already made a selection, or at least some kind of, he's settling on someone. Where is he in that process, and when can we expect an announcement? Is he still doing interviews?
Look, the president is in the same place as you all have been asking about this for many, many weeks. He's in a decision-making phase. There are a few people who he likes very much for this job.
All right, so the reason why I'm letting this kind of go is because I want you to, I hope you're picking up on or noticing what we're noticing here, right? And that is that these people, well, a lot of them, don't seem to care what's going on in Minneapolis. These people can burn themselves to the ground for all some of these people in the media care. And so, yeah, it's a big deal. It's taking a lot of attention away from a lot of different things. But you notice the two questions that we just organically rolled up on in this briefing, one was about health care, and the other was about credit card interest rates. Two things you probably care more about than you do what's your nuts up there in Minneapolis. So that's where we're at, and it ought to be actually a little bit of a situation where it's encouraging to us that there are even people in the media seem to be not really hyper-focused on what's happening in Minneapolis and not allowing the Jacob Frys of the world and the Tim Walzes of the world to hijack the news cycle or hijack this country and its attention. Actually, the second question that the reporter who asked the question about the credit card rates was about the Fed and who's the choice of the Fed, that kind of thing, or what's going on. And we're back now to the ICE deployment as a question, but you're noticing a real, maybe it's even a subtle kind of change in that I think that Tim Walz and Jacob Fry and these guys, and even the Democrat Party, they want this to be this kind of George Floyd sweeping the nation moment, and it's really not happening. It's just they're kind of on their own. And do you notice, by the way, also that there aren't a whole heck of a lot of Democrats who have been talking about what's happening in Minneapolis? At least I'm noticing that. Like I Chuck Schumer and these guys, you know, they're almost unnervingly quiet, which there must be something going on here where they're deciding that they're not going to get involved in this fight that Tim Walz and Jacob Fry and to some degree Ilhan Omar are attempting to envelop everybody in. And so that's really something interesting, and I'm not quite sure. I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but normally you'd get, you know, the Democrats all standing in front of a microphone and, you know, talking about, hey, leave Minneapolis and ICE out of Minneapolis, whatever, and that's not happening, which is really interesting to me. Even the news media, to a certain degree, I mean, let's face it, they're going to be what they are. But even the news media, to a certain degree, CBS News reported on the internal bleeding of the ICE agent. So, you know, I mean, they're starting to kind of get this, and whatever's happening, there's got to be something that some of the Democrats know about just how deeply embedded in fraud that Jacob Fry and Tim Walz are in. And as far as they're concerned, they want those two guys to fry on their own, pardon the pun. They want those two guys to fry all by themselves, because if they associate themselves with them, then the beacon starts to shine on them. And you know how it is with a criminal enterprise. When a couple of guys in the criminal enterprise get pinched, the people who are adjacent to the criminal enterprise and involved in it tend to start to act like they don't even know the guys. So that's what's happening. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, and managed to I lifted the rock and found Mark Kasen, so he'll be on the 1 o'clock hour. Yesterday we were talking about COVID still, and how I was talking with Rick Pogue about how Dr. Birx is appearing on Newsmax like nothing ever happened. Well, this is now coming against the backdrop of proof that Dr. Fauci knew that natural immunity was superior to vaccines, but ignored it to force the vaccines anyway. So we'll follow up on that. It's Common Sense Radio. Happy Thursday to all of you and yours.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home, too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Hey folks, Chris Cooper here, Serenity Wealth Management. You know, it is here, tax time. It is going to be here in the next couple weeks. Your mailbox is going to be flooded with a bunch of pieces of paper to figure out what you owe the government or potentially what you get back. Cameron from CNA Tax Advisors is joining me in studio. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about taxes. So tune in Sunday morning, 9 a.m., News Talk STL, or on Serenity Wealth Now, social media outlets.
Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
President Trump said he'll take very strong action if Iran hangs protesters. Steve Bucci will tell us if he thinks that means total obliteration for the regime at 420.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, Ashlyn over there. And I was just telling Ashlyn, I was like, I figured for Bob Weir, in memory of Bob Weir, and since I traveled to see the Grateful Dead with my friend a lot, I kind of realized I'm really not into them as much as I might have thought I was last night when I was thinking about this. And now it's I'm kind of realizing, I mean, I do like them, but but I didn't. I kind of realized, like, I'm feeling how I felt when sometimes I was standing on the hillside of Alpine, watching pretty girls in sundresses on acid trips, swirling around. I was like, well, I really don't get it. Like, I get it's great music. I'm just trying to figure out, like, why everybody's, like, following them around all over the place. The whole concept of the deadhead, But I still went, because he's my friend, so I was a good friend, right? I was kind of jamming on this a little bit last night. That's it's got a certain level of, it's got a certain shelf life for me. But anyway, I guess you guys do get Facebook Reels on your thing, and you can get lost in Facebook if you don't watch out, just watching all these reels and things like that. But I happen to enjoy it, and I don't doom scroll like a lot of people might think that you do when you do that. If you have the right algorithms, some really amazing stuff pops up, like some really cool stuff. So I get things like Pavarotti teaching a young singer how to really start to sing opera, how to sing it. And I'm like fascinated. I played you a while back about the concept of playing the full bow when you play the cello. And, I get Ben Bankus, the comedian, who was fantastic. And he's a conservative comedian, and people love him. And Phil Valencia and I were talking about him last night. And then also I get stuff that is religious-oriented, which I really appreciate. And I'll tell you one thing. When you see this kind of stuff, and about what I'm about to play you kind of realize that everything really is okay with the world. that outside of whatever this stage play that's playing out in Minneapolis, most people are just minding their own business. They're not thinking about race relations. They're not thinking about how terrible Trump is or even how terrible Kamala Harris, whatever. And so they're living just normal lives, and it makes you feel good that people are actually thinking. And then also, you don't realize, because I try to tell people this. I was talking to my buddy Gene Bentrup there at Benchmark Auto Services right there in Valley Park, because I got my brand new tires through him, and I'll explain that. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But he's asking me what I think. I go, I'll tell you one thing, Gene. Most people are just living their lives. You're out in traffic at the grocery store. Most people are just living normal lives. And by the way, a lot of people know more than we think they do. Listen to this and what happened when this guy decided to walk up and challenge certain people. Check this out. Wait, hang on. Now the sound here is off. Hang on. I don't know why, but it's off. Here you go. Hang on, I got to take it back. I don't know why this isn't working. Oh, it's off again.
Forgiveness
All right,
of
hang
sin. Hebrews 9:22 says that without.
Hang on.
Hey, so I'll pay for your meals if you could tell me one Bible verse.
Hebrews 9:22 says that without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sins. The wages of sin is death. The free gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord.
So this guy walked up to people. It looks like it's like some kind of Applebee's, and said, "I'll pay for your meal if you can quote me a Bible verse." And all these people do. Hang on. I don't know why they're doing
No
this.
one comes to the Father except through me. John 14:6. This is Jesus talking. He is the only way.
If you had one message to the world, what would it be?
This life is fleeting, it's but a vapor. The only thing that'll count for eternity is your relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. Do you know him?
If you had one message to the world, what would it be?
The Word of God is eternal, and we need to store our treasures in heaven, not on earth. Put our attention on the Lord Jesus Christ, because that's the only thing that survives the grave. Everything else is passing away. It's all vain glory.
Jesus said, truly, truly, I say to you, he who hears my words and believes him that sent me has everlasting life and shall not come into judgment, but has crossed over from death into life. So that's a promise from God. If you're trusting in the Lord Jesus Christ, you already have eternal life and you won't come into judgment.
I'll pay for all your meals if you could tell me one Bible verse.
He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will serve the Lord. He is my refuge, my God, in him will I trust. Blessings and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our God forever and ever. Amen. Jesus is Lord. He's first. Remember, God isn't good to you because you're good. God's good to you because he's good. You gotta feed the faith and starve the doubt. When you find victory where there is no victory, you know that's God.
I'll pay for all your meals if you could tell me one Bible verse.
For all sin and fall short of the glory of God, Romans 6:23. For the wages of sin is death. Gift of God is eternal life in Jesus Christ our Lord.
Romans 8:18. The pain that you have been feeling can't compare to the joy that is coming.
The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures.
So let me ask you something, because this is really very cool, and this is why I'm playing this for you. If this guy's randomly walking around places and asking people if they know a Bible verse, he's offering obviously to pay for their meals. But how often are you like in the grocery store or at a restaurant, or for that matter, even in traffic or at work or what have you, and if you asked, imagine how many people probably would be able to quote you something from the Bible or some kind of inspirational verse or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not faulting people for not asking. All I'm saying is, would you ever know, if you just randomly walked around a restaurant, how many people actually know a verse from the Bible? And I'm sure this guy might have walked up on, you know how these things go. He might have walked up on some people and they're like, I don't know a Bible verse. So he chose the people who knew one, but nonetheless, it seems to be quite a collection of people. And he does this a lot, apparently.
Creator. Enjoy your Savior. It's why you're here. Love Him with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength.
God's there for you. He's there even when it feels like He isn't. Trust in Him.
Jesus died for our sins. Love Him with all your mind, all your soul, all your heart. Plus, you have to love each other.
Praise God, I'm going to pay for your meals.
Thank you.
The cupcakes, you got the cake. You said it's your birthday?
Yeah, actually, it was yesterday. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Praise God.
I already paid.
Is it okay if I give you the cash?
Hell no. Don't need to give it.
Yeah, it's really kind of crazy. So he went ahead and paid these meals and everything else. So really, in the end, I think the lesson I want to impart on you, because, we talk about some pretty heady stuff here at the Allman Report, sometimes even, starting the show talking about Civil War. So sometimes it could get a little crazy, right? But the fact of the matter is, when you get right down to it, because a lot of people, because you're so immersed in the news and because you're bombarded by all this kind of stuff, there are a lot of people, even like Gene, who are like, man, what do you think? What's going on? I go, hey, dude, to tell you the truth, things that are going on it's a lot of people are just minding their own business. They're just getting along. They're living their lives. They want to be plugged in. They are concerned about the future of their country, but they know that if they just stay steady and strong and keep batting away the demons and all these people out there trying to make people's lives miserable, then this is how it all works, and so people are just kind of living their lives and doing their thing. Hey, I wanted to get to this because I meant to actually talk more about this than the other thing, but I thought, hey, why don't we do it? So apparently Fauci knew that natural immunity was better than the vaccine, and yet he still pushed to require it. So the federal government basically required all of its employees, including members of the military, to be vaccinated. And a significant number of those individuals had been vaccinated, contracted COVID despite the vaccination, many people multiple times. And so it turns out that in the end, natural immunity was probably the best and brightest possibility in terms of how things were going. There were people who were like, we have natural immunity, and that's how it's going to go. So anyway, the Daily Caller has a story here that is really interesting and that I'll eventually get to later on in the day. Anthony Fauci privately acknowledged impressive data that showed stronger immunity from a COVID-19 infection than vaccination, while publicly pushing mandated shots. So I remember back in November of 2019, I remember I was sick for like 6 weeks, and I thought like I had lung cancer or something. I couldn't understand what this was, what was going on, or anything of the sort, and I just couldn't figure it out. And it turns out I probably had COVID. I probably had COVID, one of the first people to have COVID, because it was 6 weeks of just like nonstop hacking, coughing, couldn't breathe, all this kind of stuff. And it was like 6 weeks of it. So I'm thinking I had it then. And so I never did get the vaccine. And I got COVID one more time, but it was not, I did that Paxlovid stuff, but there are a lot of people who took the vaccine and didn't have to. There were a lot of people fired, disciplined for not taking the vaccine, and that didn't have to happen, and Fauci knew it. That's the other investigation that needs to happen. Happy Thursday, everybody. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Some people start their day with coffee. A lot of us start our day wondering, why did my mattress do me like that? If that's you, Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield can help. Right now, save up to $900 on Stearns and Foster adjustable sets and up to $700 on Beauty Rest Black during our year-end event. Just walk in, no appointment needed. We'll run a quick sleep assessment and match you to a system built for real deep rest. If you want to feel human in the morning again, come say yes to better sleep. Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield. Sleep restored, life renewed.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The Senate has advanced a three-bill spending package to its final procedural step. That sets up a final vote later today. Lawmakers are in a full-court press to prevent another partial government shutdown. They have until the end of the month to come up with a budget. President Trump says he'll consider invoking the Insurrection Act after an ICE agent wounded a protester after being attacked with a shovel last night in Minneapolis.
Police say a crowd gathered near the site with protesters throwing rocks and shooting fireworks. Federal officers fired tear gas. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry says violence involving federal officers has gotten out of hand in the city. Fry says,
"We cannot counter Donald Trump's chaos with our own brand of chaos."
I'm Donna Warder.
An alien astronaut returned to Earth with three others today, ending their space station mission more than a month ahead of schedule in NASA's first ever medical evacuation. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman.
To be overwhelmingly clear, Crew 11 was a very successful mission. While this was the first time we had to return crew slightly ahead of schedule, NASA was ready.
SpaceX guided the capsule to a middle-of-the-night splashdown in the Pacific near San Diego. A fundamental disagreement over Greenland remains after U.S. and Danish officials held talks in Washington yesterday. President Trump says the U.S. needs Greenland for security purposes.
If we don't go in, Russia's going to go in and China's going to go in. And there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it, but we can do everything about it.
Troops from European countries, including France and Germany, are arriving in Greenland to try and help them boost their security. At the White House today, Venezuela's opposition figure, Maria Corina Machado, fresh off her Nobel Peace Prize win, meeting with President Trump in the wake of the U.S. capture of Nicolas Maduro. President Trump continues to recognize Delcy Rodriguez as the country's interim president. More from townhall.com.
Everybody loves the season of giving, but now the season of paying for it is upon us. That not-so-wonderful time of the year when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, stare in horror at the balance, and resolve then and there to find new ways to save money. If you're among those Americans, why not start by cutting your wireless bill in half right now with Pure Talk's Saver Plan? It's easy. You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast, nationwide 5G network for just $20 a month. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Ho, ho, ho! And if you're active or former military or a first responder, you'll save an additional 20% every single month. That's pound 250. Say Mike Rowe. for the gift that keeps on saving from America's wireless company, Pure Talk.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Little chilly out there today. Lots of sunshine early, and then the clouds will start increasing this evening. The high temperature in the mid-30s, but those wind chills will be in the 20s at times. And then a little light snow, mainly north and northeast of St. Louis and the metro area overnight, but we could get a dusting in a couple of spots. We'll start off tomorrow morning cold with temperatures dropping down into the around the freezing mark, and then a high tomorrow in the mid-40s. There's going to be plenty cold over the weekend. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert-insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention News Talk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
Why are you going to work? It's Sunday.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL. JC's Sunday Showgram.
What famous St. Louis news anchor did I meet when she worked as a Playboy bunny? And we'll relive the famous Ricky Prohl catch this week in 2000. Plus, Uma Thurman's feat, Natalie Portman at age 15, and a St. Louis Blues player's wife who couldn't wait for her husband to leave on a road trip. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on newstalkstl.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. When severe weather hits, scammers often follow. They may pose as charities, jack up prices on essentials, or offer fraudulent home repairs. I'm committed to protecting Missourians from those scams. If you've been targeted or suspect price gouging, report it to our office at 800-392-8222 or online at ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Good afternoon. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah. Plus, add about 5 more boomers to that one. Looks like they all want to get, like, the crap beat out of them so they can start a GoFundMe, because apparently that's the best way to get rich now is to either let your wife get blown away or get attacked by ICE or whatever. People are just going to GoFundMe and making a lot of money. And they're outnumbered too. Interesting. So there's about 40 of them. And keep in mind, this is 40. Okay, I'll do 60. I'll just be generous and do 60. So there are 60 people who give a flying rip about fighting ICE and doing whatever out of a population of 300 plus million in the United States. And add 2 more people, Jacob Fry, Tim Walz, and Ilhan Omar. So 63 people. I mean, that's the extent of it. That's what I was talking about. So we finally got a hold of Mark Kasen because he's one of those guys. He's one of those guys who has 2 phones. And I never understood people with 2 phones. There's something not right about that when you have 2 different phones. You're up to something no good, probably usually. And I realized that's a business phone, personal. I get it, but no, there's really no reason for that. You could just have two lines on one phone, whatever. And so we didn't know which number to call Mark at, so we finally did. We finally did get it. So Mark Kasen, welcome to the program. How are you?
No, I'm doing great. You know, I guess if there's 63, you got to add. If you're adding me, that makes 64.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, but actually, what it would be is 64 million adults. So that's probably
well.
A good
No,
number.
there's 63 people, and there's 60 people out there. And you know what's interesting is they're all wearing masks. I thought they didn't want. I thought they didn't want these individuals to wear masks. Like they didn't want ICE wearing masks.
Well, it's illegal actually, but that's all right.
Oh, okay.
We're handling all this. This is all being taken care of. Believe me, the United States does not accept Gestapo. We're not going to allow this.
Okay. But you are allowing it, and it is happening, and Tim Walz and Jacob Fry are all basically encouraging some kind of civil unrest and civil war, and I'm not quite sure how you guys can defend something like that, knowing exactly what's going on here. How is it possible? And maybe you can answer this for me because nobody else seems to be able to answer it. How is it possible? I mean, why are you defending people who are criminals and who are sex traffickers and who are fraudsters and beyond? How is it possible you guys have gone from defending slavery in 1861 to defending terrible people in 2026? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, obviously, if we were defending sex traffickers, we'd be defending Donald Trump, which we don't.
Well, he's
So
not,
don't worry
and
about
we
that.
know that. I mean, that's ridiculous.
No, you don't know.
You're not answering. You're not answering my question.
1% of those documents that were supposed to be released have been released. 1%. He's breaking the law.
You're not answering my question.
The question is silly. You know that we don't defend illegal things.
So what are you guys doing out there? What are you doing? I mean, so what is it? What is it the beef you have with ICE? I mean, because what they're doing is they're arresting people who are sex traffickers. They're arresting murderers, rapists, robbers. They're fraudsters and beyond. That's what these people are doing out there.
Well, you know they're not doing that, so why are we even having this
we
conversation?
have the mugshots of the people that are being arrested. We see them. I mean, we see who they're arresting.
Gardeners, teachers.
No, they're not.
Landscapers.
That's baloney. There's not one example of a gardener, a teacher, and a landscaper who has been wrongly arrested. They're here illegally. They're going to be arrested, especially if they are also on top of being a criminal for crossing the border. These are people who have criminal records. I mean, this is crazy. So you guys talking about the gardeners? Okay.
Yeah. How about the young girl? I'm gonna do exactly what you're asking. I'm gonna name one. The young girl who was going to Babson College. She was headed home. She was like 17, 18 years old. She'd been in the United States for like 13 years. She's a great college student. She was going home for Thanksgiving to her parents, and ICE grabbed her up, took her away, and nobody has any idea where she is.
We do know where she is. I read that story. We know where she is.
Yeah, not in the United States.
No, she's not in the United States. She was overstaying her visa, whatever. It was interesting how
Jamie.
It was
you don't
interesting,
want
Mark.
College students arrested. Come on.
Listen, if they're causing trouble or if they're I thought you were. It's funny when you were telling that story. I actually was fantasizing. I closed my eyes and I'm thinking maybe he's talking about Laken Riley, or maybe he's talking about Jocelyn Nungaray, or Rachel Morin, or Jameel Shaw. a black teenager who was killed in 2008 by a gang member undocumented in Los Angeles. I thought you were going to mention one of those people. Do you even know who I'm talking about?
So you found somebody who was killed in 2008 by a gang member.
Who is
You gotta be kidding.
Okay, so you know so much about this illegal alien, and you all seem to care so much about everybody who is committing crimes and everything else. Do you know who Laken Riley is?
You know, you've asked me before, and I didn't know then, and I don't know now.
So you didn't even bother to bone up after I brought her name up. That's how little.
Anybody killed in a way that we all agree is inappropriate. We all feel bad about it. We're against it, and the number of those people who are hurt. I mean, it's so small. It's tiny.
But you didn't even.
These people who come from other countries are the best people in our society.
It's amazing how you guys balance. It's weird how you're on the one hand you can defend a woman who was killed trying to run over an ICE agent.
Oh, you know
and you won't even mention. Even after I brought her name up to you last time, you didn't bone up on her for the future time because you cared so little about her. Do you know who? By the way, do you know the name of the girl you're talking about who was so rudely interrupted in overstaying her visa?
Yeah, that was sent to Honduras.
Yeah,
no, I don't know.
Oh, well, you don't know
difference?
because okay, because it's interesting how you guys you guys just have a bunch of checkers pieces and you don't care really about the humanity involved. You care whether or not Donald Trump is behind it.
Well, Donald Trump's behind all of it. He's Hitler.
Do you know who Jocelyn Nungary is?
Yeah. Do you know who Adolf Hitler was?
Okay. See, you are out of your mind, dude. I mean, sometimes it's you've got even people on some people on Facebook think there's no possible way you could possibly really believe this. Like they don't think that. But again, people, you have to know that there are people who believe this all over the place, and I hope, heaven forbid, you're actually teaching this to your kids. What's the topic in school?
Adolf Hitler. No, I'm kidding. But look, here's my point. Back when Hitler was doing the beginning things, I mean, there were people then who said, "Come on, you don't think he would do any of this?" See, that's ridiculous. This man is extremely dangerous.
Well,
you know what he said today? You don't even know what he said today.
Yes, I do.
You're busy in fantasy land. He said that he's doing such a great job, which is not true, but he said he's doing such a great job that we don't need to have any more elections. I know, he's just kidding.
Yeah, well, he is. I mean, there's no way that's going to happen. That's not it. I thought you were going to mention him talking about invoking the Insurrection Act. Let me ask you something really quickly, though, and I think that's really interesting that you brought up the whole Hitler thing and how people who didn't think that he was going to do it. You know who didn't think that he was going to do it?
Don't say it. Don't say
Why?
George Soros.
No, I'm
Don't
not.
say it.
I'm not. Well,
Okay.
no, Joe Kennedy.
Well, that is true.
The father of all of your Democrat of all your once again it's Democrats who were again adding nothing to this country in any way, shape, or form. You guys defended
and his son wrote against his father.
You guys defended slavery, and now you're defending illegal criminal aliens and Somali fraudsters. You guys have never changed.
Great people.
And in between that time, you had a guy in FDR who sold Poland off to Hitler. Who are you guys kidding? I mean, seriously.
No, seriously, I think you need to read the words on the Statue of Liberty.
You did this last time. The Statue of Liberty is not our Constitution or our laws. The Statue of Liberty was given us as a gift.
Advertisement.
That's fine. It is it's a great advertisement, and we have fulfilled our marketing strategy on that level.
Yeah.
And we have
send us your garbage. That's what it says.
No, it didn't. And here's the deal.
Well, actually,
Unfortunately, the Statue of Liberty became a garbage magnet. People took advantage of our generosity and the beauty of our country, and they took advantage of it. But again,
well, that's how I got here.
Mark, the Statue of Liberty was given to us by the French. It has nothing to do with our laws and our Constitution.
And do you know that the French and the Germans and the Danish have sent their troops to Greenland to fight us in Greenland, to fight the United States of America, and you're okay with that?
No, we're not. We're going to be able to kind of take that pretty easily without any kind of military engagement. It's crucial.
Their troops are there.
It's
their
crucial.
Troops are there.
What the problem is, we have. Let me explain this to you, so maybe you could actually go back and look at
Sure.
it. So right now in Scotland, there is right in this little area around Scotland, there is a nuclear settling point for the UK. So it basically is a nuclear operation. Scotland and somebody, if they ever declare their independence or do whatever, we will not have access to that nuclear situation. So what we are planning to do is create a situation where we don't want any kind of Russian pathway to New York City nuclear-wise. And if we settle up in Greenland where we should be and take advantage of that, then we will be able to defend against what certainly could be an onrush of Russian aggression. So
no,
that's
Jamie,
what we're doing.
Denmark has already told Donald Trump to put as many bases as he can fit into Greenland, that he can have one on every corner, just like we have gas stations in the United States. That is allowed. He could do that right now. He wants to steal from Greenland. That's what he wants. And the French and Germans are there to stop him. Now, I admit that the French and Germans can't stop the United States Army. But you know what? The United States Army won't follow illegal orders either.
That's not an illegal order. And by the way, that stuff isn't going to be working out for you either, because the seditious six, one of them is losing his retirement or part of it, and the other is under federal investigation. So this is going to be a fun year. It's going to be great.
But don't worry, because Tom Homan can at least give him $50,000.
You guys have your little you guys have like 5 things that you say that you just kind of recycle.
I know everything. Sorry.
It's incredible. What's the lesson plan for today? Are you by the way, I just was bringing up Dr. Fauci, who knew that natural immunity was a good thing. I'm wondering, are you still wearing a mask, like when you drive and stuff?
You know, I really should, but the problem is that because I'm, a radical leftist, my immunity is so strong that I don't even need a mask anymore. But see, that's the kind of thing Donald would say because he's in mental decline. But that's okay.
I have some advice for you, though, and it's not in any fashion regarding COVID or the flu. But if I'm you, I'm doing what we did with President Trump, and I am trying to reformulate the Democrat Party or threaten to leave it, because what we did is, instead of leaving the Republican Party, we decided we were going to take it over, like Greenland, and reformulate the Republican Party into the Make America Great Again generation. That's why we lost a lot of Republicans, and we don't care about them. And President Trump won the election without a lot of Republicans. But if I'm you, the Democrat Party is about to go the way of the Whigs if it doesn't watch out. And we already know that it looks like Schumer and some of the others are wise to what's happening in Minneapolis and aren't going near it because they know that the beginning of the end of the Democrat Party might be centered around the prosecutions of Tim Walz and Jacob Fry. So if I'm you, I'm starting to think maybe you all ought to create a different party or something just for you guys.
Yeah, by the way, what's wrong with Jacob Fry? He's great.
Oh, Jacob Fry. Are you kidding me? He's a punk, and he ought to be in prison.
He told ICE to get the F out of there, didn't he?
Yeah, and did you see what ICE did?
Illegally.
Yeah, they doubled up. So Jacob Fry is,
It's called That's called the Gestapo.
Yeah, Jacob Fry. Listen, he might have all of his Somali friends, but most Minnesotans and even most Minneapolis residents don't like him. You notice that there aren't any Somalis out protesting ICE?
Well, if I were Somali, I'd get out of Dodge too. Those people are killers.
Oh, good. So you're encouraging Somalis to self-deport. That's fine. But you know what? If the Somalis
self-deport to Los Angeles.
Why aren't the Somalis out there? They had some chick die for them in the middle of the street, but the Somalis aren't out supporting her.
Yeah, they're self-deporting to Los Angeles.
Well, no. I mean, if the Somalis are legal, they have nothing to worry about. And by the way,
what do you think? We want to have a civil war like you want?
By the way, no,
on.
we don't want a no. I don't want a civil war because I don't want
the Republican Party.
Oh no, we don't. We actually no. If we wanted a civil war, there'd be one. And you guys would all be shipped out somewhere else to Brazil or Argentina or whatever, wherever the Confederates went to. But
Gavin Newsom and AOC will wrap this whole thing up in short order.
Yeah,
you watch.
I'm telling you, if I'm you guys, and we don't want a civil war only because ammunition's expensive, and I don't want to use it like that. I'd rather use it to have fun with it as opposed to be like that. So civil war is I don't want that, and I don't want that
I know
for
you
anybody.
But Donald does because he's very mentally ill. But
well,
honestly,
it took.
I mean, you better enjoy your guns because we'll be getting them soon.
No, it took 4 years for us to run you Confederates out of Dodge. It'll take probably about 6 hours this time around. So if I'm you guys, I'm not even wanting to engage in that kind of activity or even that kind of talk. So that's all.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just remember, you got a book on your desk by Saul Cornell that I gave you a number of years ago. Read it; it's very good.
Yeah, Saul Cornell. Yeah, just what the doctor ordered. Hey, so what are you teaching today? Are you teaching still?
I'm teaching every day.
Okay, what are you teaching today?
Well, we're asking the question because Donald says that white people are the ones who are suffering from racism in America, and we're asking the question, is that true?
Wait a minute. Why Donald Trump never said white people are suffering from racism?
Oh, yes, he did. It's in the New York Times. I sent it to you.
What context did he say that in?
Nothing that made any sense. The man
white people, no. It's just it's not. I've never felt victimized as a white person. But I'm happier than I've ever been to be white.
Yeah, but Donald says no.
Well,
so you disagree with him? That's
no.
all right.
I mean, white people. I mean, let's face it. There are a lot of white children who have had to take a back seat to illegal aliens and immigrants who get better positions at schools and get accepted to schools and things like that.
Oh, don't be
but
silly.
black people,
Come on.
why don't you ask that? Are your students black?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you know what their answer is going to be to the white thing. Why don't you ask them whether they feel victimized by the constant influx of foreigners who are putting their parents and their grandparents at the back of the bus again?
Yeah,
Why don't you ask them that?
They don't feel that way, but I can say...
What do they think about illegal aliens? Did you ask them about that?
Whatever questions I ask, they have to answer with evidence anyway.
Okay, have you asked them what they think about illegal aliens?
They love them.
No, they don't. Okay.
No, they honestly do.
Okay. You're making that up. I want to come to your...
We've discussed it. You're welcome here. They'll talk to you about it.
I want to come to your class.
Respectfully.
What do you mean?
They'll talk to you respectfully.
Of course. I mean, I would talk to them respectfully, but I want to come to your class.
No, I know.
I want to come to your class, and I want to record it. Do I have to get permit?
I'm not sure about the recording part, but you could do a show up here.
Well, okay. No, we're not going to do a remote show. My boss hates remotes. But what I will do though is I'll come to the class and actually all I'll do is record myself, and I won't record any of the kids.
You could take notes on them.
I'm not going to take notes. I'm going to record myself, and I'm going to lead the discussion, and I'm not going to have anybody's faces on. And I want to ask some pertinent questions to young Black America that you're not asking, because what you're doing is you are infusing propaganda and anti-white resentment into them, and I need to go in there and show them that there's a different path.
Well, there's one thing that you know for a fact that we've discussed at length, you and I, over many years, and that is that I will always tell you that white people are no good. But you got to remember that that's historically they're no good. And Freeman Jr. is the first one to say that whenever I make that comment, and he responds. He says, "Yeah, well, historically they're no good. In other words, they've done all these horrible things, and that it's true they have."
White Democrats, not white Republicans.
Well, come on.
No, white Democrats were the ones who organized the defense of slavery. White Democrats were the ones who elected George Wallace who stood in front of a school before Dwight Eisenhower, a Republican, had to call in the dreaded National Guard to let that little girl into the school. Those were white people.
Don't forget that Dwight Eisenhower, who appointed, the very important Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, he said that was the biggest mistake he made in his entire life, because of Brown versus Board of Education. So,
all I'm saying is that happened, and white people cast the deciding vote for the Civil Rights Voting Act.
That's true. There were horrible.
So how do you? So the horrible white people seem to be from one party that we've been able to isolate. Name one.
Well, but let's not forget. Let's listen. If you want to go to there, let's also be clear
McCarthy.
that the worst of them are men. McCarthy, yes, of course.
I thought you were going to bring that up earlier.
No, yeah, man, nothing's worse than men.
Well, I don't know. If you've ever been screamed at by a left-wing banshee in Minneapolis, I think you'd have a different tale. But it just seems to me that I can't recall a white Republican that has been as dastardly as a white Democrat. So that's all there is to it, man. So you guys knock yourself out. All right, I got to go. You there?
Yeah, love you.
Love you too.
And honor Earl Warren. Yes.
What?
Honor Earl Warren.
Okay, sure will. I'll get right to it.
Okay.
Take care. That is Mark Kasen. I'm going to take him up on that offer to go into his class. I do want to. I would like to see what their children, the children, are thinking, but also what their parents are thinking and what their parents are telling them about this environment, because I guarantee you when Mark says that black children love illegal aliens, there's no way. It doesn't make any kind of empirical sense at all in any way, shape, or form. Oh, by the way, you want to hear what Joy Reid thinks about the lady who was shot up there in Minneapolis? Probably exactly how you would expect. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
2026, a great time to visit Lit Cigar Lounge. The Lit Cigar Facebook has numerous events from tastings to music. My main reason for going to Lit is always quality cigars, premium whiskeys. Odds are we'll see each other at Lit Cigar Lounge. A few doors down, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta. Get a pizza baked over coals. Excellent crust and flavor. Or choose one of the many great pasta dishes. You won't leave hungry. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta and Lit Cigar Lounge in the Chesterfield Valley.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. You know, coming in today, you take 40, Ashlyn? You take 64-40? No. So, I was on 40, and as usual, there's a lane closed. And a bunch of people working on things, and of course traffic is backed up, and they're like sweeping the, I don't know, median, whatever it is. So this time, though, they had stopped up the lanes to fix, I guess to replace a light bulb in one of the lights that are over the highway. And I'm trying to think, like, what one light bulb like that, you know, like, what about the other light bulbs? And I'm thinking to myself, these lights on the highway really have bulbs in them that need to be changed or something? Like, I don't even know how that works. It seems like it's almost like really a backwards way to do business, you know. It's like the highway with, like, light bulbs you got to change whenever they run out. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like that one time where you have to close down an entire lane of a highway to fix a light bulb over the highway is just kind of weird to me, but I don't know. All right. 101 straight up, you're funny. He said, you lost me at Joy Reid things. I know, but you guys, this is a really good example about, you know, Renee Good and the really sad waste of a life that this was for really absolutely, like, no one cares in terms of who she was apparently trying to help and defend. And as I said at the beginning of the show, if I didn't know any better, I would think that she was really tricked into this by her butch, crazy wife, who was the one who was directing this social media stunt and had her wife drive, Renee Good drive instead of her. And then when surrounded by ICE agents, she yelled, "Drive, drive, drive," and then was summarily shot. And Renee Good was shot. And, of course, you know that what's happening in Minneapolis right now is distracting the real issue here, and that is the fraud that will ultimately probably send Tim Walz and Jacob Fry to jail and maybe even lead to the demise of the Democrat Party. But this is only happening in Minnesota. And so when President Trump talks about invoking the Insurrection Act, then this is exactly what they want. They want the Insurrection Act to be imposed because that will further take attention away from the fraud that we're seeing. So, this is, and when you listen to Joy Reid talk about Renee Good, it's like, wow. I mean, this is the thanks that Renee Good gets. And I bet you Renee Good thought that she and her hag of a wife thought that, hey, we'll get Brenda Talent, I guess, on the other side here, dear, and they'll take that. I'll play Joy and then we'll do this. But she probably thought she was helping. Like, oh, I'm standing up for Somalis. I'm standing up for illegals, whatever. And the reality is, no, there aren't even any black people out protesting right now. And there certainly aren't any Somalis. So what did Renee Good die for crying out loud? Anyway, here's Joy Reid.
This woman was part of a group of people who they trained to try to be ICE interrupters.
Mm-hmm.
And what they try to do is observe what ICE is doing, film them, and try to use their white privilege, to be honest. They're mainly white people.
Which is what we ask.
Which is what we ask them to do, right? Because black people, like, we can't put our bodies on the line because cops will shoot us. And so the presumption had been, particularly a white woman, because remember, part of the rationale for doing this with ICE is to save white women, pristine white women, from being ravaged by, criminal brown men. So white women, have been taking the lead in being the ones to step forward.
Yeah. Now, you got all kinds of crazy wrapped up in that. And I had no idea. You'd never have imagined that that's the takeaway of Joy Reid, that really the reason why white women are involved in all this is because that's what the anti-illegal alien thing is all about, just to protect white women. I guarantee you there are many black people in Chicago, New York, and beyond who don't believe that and believe that illegal aliens have absolutely put them at the back of the bus again, and they don't like it, which is why they voted for President Trump, and everything that's going on with ICE is what they voted for. Maybe not Joy Reid, who was blinded by her just naked racism. It's really pretty amazing. So we've got Brenda Talent joining us here from the Show Me Institute. We'll hit some issues that are most affecting your lives at the local level with Brenda Talent straight ahead. It's Common Sense Radio.
They served our country with honor. Now it's our turn to serve them. Join the freedom13.org for an unforgettable gala honoring America's heroes, February 27th at the Foundry Arts Center in St. Charles. A special evening supporting Freedom 13's bold mission. 50 camps in 50 states on more than 50,000 acres, building 650 homes for veterans, police, and their families. Tickets and sponsorship opportunities are available now. Visit thefreedom13.org. That's thefreedom13.org.
Tim Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Louis Gohmert, he's a former congressman.
Bob Gibson
was
pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. And so I snuck my transistor radio in my shirt and had the little earpiece into my ear and tried to keep my head turned where the teacher wouldn't see, but was listening to the World Series in class.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Sometimes it seems all lawmakers do is tax and spend. That's why Missouri voters passed the Hancock Amendment in 1980 to place a limit on what the government can do with your money. But the Hancock Amendment is outdated. It hasn't provided a taxpayer refund since 1999 and probably won't without reform. That's why Missouri needs a taxpayer Bill of Rights. Colorado has one, and taxpayers there have received more than $8 billion in refunds. It's simple. There should be limits on government spending and refunds when there's a surplus in the state budget. A taxpayer Bill of Rights constitutional amendment would help limit the growth of government. Missouri's budget has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, yet the state lags far behind states like Colorado in economic growth. The Hancock Amendment was supposed to protect taxpayers. Now it's time for an update and a taxpayer Bill of Rights. After all, it's your money. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Today's story behind the story: when I decided to become a pilot and scare the daylights out of myself.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, and happy to be so. Ashlyn over there. Elizabeth Kaiser from Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser. You listen to that on Sundays, and a great show, and she's got everything covered as it relates to Maha and AI and everything else, and she apparently took offense at my comments about people with two phones. I was mostly thinking about men with two phones, especially someone like Kasen, who he doesn't have enough going on to need two phones, because I know him. And Elizabeth, you have a lot going on, so two phones doesn't surprise me at all. I actually have too much going on, if you want to know the honest truth, but that's how I think about it. But so you're absolved from the two-phone judgment. You just don't tell me you have an Android. And I know you don't have an Android because you haven't told me you have one yet, but that's my speech from yesterday. Apparently made Dave all upset. I haven't gotten any pushback from triathletes, though, or people who are doing the dry January. You know why? Because, I know Jimmy Z, I know you're doing the dry January, but it's almost over. DLW is like, besides you, does Kasen have any other friends? I don't know, actually. I've never seen him with anybody else. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Brenda Talon has been paying attention to what is going on in Jefferson City. Of course, the Show Me Institute, and we have Governor Kehoe with his State of the State address on Tuesday. And Brenda was paying attention to it to see what was going to come out regarding the eventual elimination or gradual elimination of the state income tax. Brenda Talent, welcome to the show. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Jamie.
Yeah. So, what did you hear? What were you encouraged?
There are a number of things in the governor's speech that I think, cause optimism. With a lot of the items, of course, we've got to see the details, right? So he definitely made a commitment to begin the process of trying to eliminate our income tax, but it's going to be a staged process. And I would say for people who are like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Look, we really need to update our tax system in Missouri. When we began this whole process, transactions mainly revolved around goods, manufactured goods. Well, now a lot of our economy is a service-driven economy, and as a state, we need to begin looking at our tax system, examining it. A number of states around the nation have been doing that and have been trying to move towards elimination of the income tax. So I'm glad to hear the governor talking about that, making a commitment to that. He made commitments for education. Hey, we're finally going to get report cards, which we've been publishing at, most school rankings for a number of years, where they're going to give grades for actual academic performance. So yay for that. It's about time parents learn how their school districts are performing. And he's also going to, we call it Doge, he calls it great, but really tackle this whole issue of inefficiency, transparency, accountability in government. He's going to provide more funding for most scholars. So, there's a lot of things in his speech that are to be optimistic about. One of the things I would just put out a cautionary tale there is that, we still have to keep our eye on the budget. Our budget's a little bit out of control, and they're projecting shortfalls. So I'll put a plug in in fact, it was just running on your radio program, the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. So that we can, put some guardrails on spending, because government continues to grow. And while some growth makes sense, we need to make sure that growth, in fact, does make sense and there's accountability.
Yeah. So the report card caught my attention because that's a great thing for school district report cards. But what ultimately is the intention of the report cards? Like, what would be the follow-up to a poor report card for a school district?
Well, we at the Show Me Institute definitely have suggestions for those. Things like closing a school, things like allowing students to go. Obviously, we like more choice, so allowing parents to move their students to other schools that better serve their needs. But right now, let's just face it, in the state of Missouri, it is very hard for a parent to understand how their school or school district is performing, again, unless you go to most school rankings, our website, so you can see exactly how they're performing and how they're spending their money. So I view this report card as the first step in holding our public schools accountable for giving the parents transparency and clarity about what is going on in the school building, because once you inform that, then you need to take action on that. And I do think that this governor and his Department of Elementary and Secondary Education Board of Education has a commitment to try to start enforcing that accountability. We obviously are expanding school choice, again, empowering parents to make the decision about where their child should go to school. And that transparency is the first step. We talk about two things. You need transparency, which would be the report cards. You need accountability, which means the consequences when you fail to perform.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to lose your kids and then therefore the funding attached to the kids, then you better button up and bone up and be better.
That's right. And one of the things we're talking about, which was not in the governor's speech, although there's discussion about workforce, et cetera, is this whole let's teach our kids to read so that by the time they finish third grade, they're literate. And that's a program that a lot of other states have implemented. They put real teeth in it, and guess what? Their kids are learning to read. Can't we make that commitment to the students of Missouri?
Yeah, and regarding the income tax, and I'm not trying to be cynical here, but I am concerned, as are some of the listeners as well, that we're talking about the income tax, but we're not really talking about the personal property tax. Like, for instance, if we talked about the income tax and we settle that, then the property tax then kind of disappears in terms of any kind of review or any kind of discussion about reducing personal property taxes.
I don't know that that's necessarily the case, Jamie, because, like I said, I mean, we really need to examine our entire tax system in the state of Missouri. There are arguments out there that actually, if you go to, if you broaden the sales tax base, for example, you're going to generate more revenue for localities, which would indicate, and the localities are the ones that benefit from the personal property tax. That would, to me, be an indication that, yeah, you ought to be able to eliminate the personal property tax. But I think these are complex questions that we all need to take a look at. But I also go back to basics, and that is a sense of when you're talking about income tax, you're taxing the production of income. And when you tax something, you get less of it. We want to encourage the production of income. And so the concept of eliminating the income tax from an economic perspective is a very important one. And it's one where, you're not going to do it overnight. We've been doing it incrementally for a few years now. You can continue on that kind of road.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that people just don't want it kind of shoved to the wayside. I mean, obviously the income tax is a big deal, and we get that, but the personal property tax is an important one as well. So we'll figure that. And again, with the spending, and you and I have talked about this before, when the governor initially made a comment a while back at his state address, he talked about pursuing that, but then also included in that speech some spending initiatives as well. And you really can't have both. We're trying to get away from continuing to having to feed the beast, and there's no reason to make the beast bigger while we're trying to not feed it. So,
Well, that's why we like the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. You're right. There are two sides of the ledger. There's the revenue side and the expenditure side. And here's what I would say. Whenever you're talking about taxes, let's all be clear. We're talking about money that the individuals of Missouri have generated. In the first instance, it's our money. It's not the government's money. So we can start with that premise and then go from there as we debate what, if anything, we're going to be funding. What we'll be funding for our government and what services those should look like. And going back to our Taxpayer Bill of Rights, we're not talking about cutting services. We're talking about controlling the rate of growth of government, which right now our spending is like twice the rate of inflation. It's a little bit out of control.
Yeah, and that's why it's so crazy, and maybe we're getting away from that. But every time you talk about cutting taxes, there's some calculation done by some news organization about what it will cost the state. I mean, it drives me crazy when they position a tax cut that way, as in what it'll cost the state, like it's the state's money. And I think you make a great point there.
Well, not only that, Jamie, let's remember that in a government accounting, it's the only place where they talk about a cut when it doesn't increase by the rate that they wanted to increase. So in absolute dollars, they're spending more, but they talk about, oh, you've cut our spending. And it's sort of like, no, we haven't.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, Calvin Coolidge said it a long time ago. He warned about it. That income taxes and this was about 10 years after the federal income tax came about. So it was about 1924. He made his first televised. It was the first time a president had ever been both recorded audio and video. And Calvin Coolidge said, "We got to watch out with the growth of government because at some point people are going to be working a certain portion of their week just for the government." That was 100 years ago. And
isn't it like we work now to April or May or something like that?
Yeah, I mean,
government?
Yeah, I mean, so we never learned, and eventually Coolidge never ran for a second term. He was like, "I'm out because nobody's listening to me." So hopefully we'll get back to a Calvin Coolidge mindset someday. Brenda Talent, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. And thank you. ShowMeInstitute.org is where you can find all kinds of great stuff as these people are paying attention to the things that affect you most in your life and your family. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Jamie. Take care.
All right, that is Brenda Talent. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Ashlyn, thank you so much. And coming up next, it's Tony Colombo and Colombo and Company. And I'll get to that bit. I didn't have time where this person is claiming that the ballroom really isn't a ballroom. I can't wait. It's pretty cool, actually, her theory, but we'll discuss that. Have a blessed rest of your day. It's Common Sense Radio.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314